I just am curious, for you, how much film do you break down in a given average week?
Well, during the NFL season, I spend all Monday and Tuesday, somewhere between 12 and 14 hours a day, doing Monday and Tuesday. And then as the week goes on, I still do a lot, depending if I got a college game or an NFL game, or if teams want certain things from me, or the NFL network needs something from me. So it starts with about 25 hours Monday and Tuesday, and then it will grow to like 40. And right now, I don't know, I was on the phone with Daniel Jeremiah last night at the NFL Network. We were watching some players together. So, I mean, I think I shut it off sometime between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. But I watched a bunch yesterday. I probably watched a good, 6 or 8 hours yesterday. So it could vary. It could vary depending where I'm at and who I really want to study and how long I want to study them. But it's a good deal of work right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess off of that, how much Josh Allen tape have you maybe necessarily watched? Maybe not necessarily this offseason, but last year when he was kind of progressing.
Oh, I mean, I love watching Josh. I was one of those people that when he came out of Wyoming, I thought he had a chance. I didn't really pay too close attention to, the completion percentage. I mean, I didn't see a receiver that could catch the ball at Wyoming that he threw to. I know he can get high and he can get wild. We've all seen it. He can overthrow guys by 20 yards. It happens. He's getting better, though. I mean, his second year was better than his first year. His first year, that preseason game against Cincinnati when they started him, it was dreadful. I mean, they couldn't protect him that day. He was hit unmercifully. I've met him a couple of times now. He's as tough as they come. We all know what kind of athlete he is, what kind of competitor. I expect his third year to be better than his second year. In his second year, look, they had a 16-0 lead in the playoff game against Houston in the third quarter, and they couldn't close it out. I can't imagine a Sean McDermott team not closing out a playoff game ever again, up 16-0. And look, Josh is a part of that. I mean, whether it's completing third down, staying on the field, he didn't give up, those plays on defense, but the quarterback can certainly keep the defense off the field. And so, the third year, you want to see a guy really break through, and I feel like he's going to do that.
I was there in Houston, and it was just the way that tide turned and the way the crowd shifted just on the fumble really, really changed things. But one of the things I know you've said on a podcast said Josh Allen has one great skill that a lot of great athletes have, like a LeBron or Jordan. He does not fatigue. How important is that? Maybe from an offensive side for the Bills side, but also a defense going up against Josh Allen, who has that just relentless work ethic or drive like you're talking about.
Well, it doesn't matter, if you're playing in September, in the heat in September, or, if you're playing in the frigid weather of January, it doesn't matter. Or in a dome stadium in January like they did against Houston. You're going to get defensive linemen are going to get tired chasing them. I mean, you better be 8 deep. We've seen the Miami Dolphins with their tongues dragging on the ground 2 years ago down there in Miami.
Right.
I mean, they couldn't put a glove on him, and he wore them all out. And, he's the best athlete on the field that day. Look, we ultimately you don't want him running for his life and running like he has the first 2 years. You want him to beat people from the pocket. But if he does have to take off, if he does have to do those kind of things that a lot of these young guys do now because they can, when you get tired, your legs go. And when your legs go, you're not going to throw the ball accurately. I mean, I challenge a lot of these coaches in college, since I do Big 12 games on Saturdays, I challenge a lot of these coaches, whether it's Lincoln Riley or whether it's Gary Patterson or whoever, when they have these quarterbacks that run like this, and they're playing in September in Texas, like how accurate can you expect these guys to be when they're getting tired and they're getting fatigued? Like you're just not going to be as accurate as a guy that can just stand back there like a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning that can just wing it from the pocket and not have to run like that. And so it can be a factor with how you throw the football, how tired you get, and how many times you get hit. And you want to prevent a lot of those things from happening.
That's a great point. And I went back today and just watched your breakdown of Josh's Thanksgiving game against the Cowboys in Dallas. Was that one of the moments where, for you, maybe breaking down more tape than I do, where it seemed like a switch went off, like maybe a little light bulb went in his head and things started to click more?
Well, he made a lot of big plays coming out of the end zone and scrambling on third downs and making some runs to extend drives. They never allowed Dallas to get into the game that day because of what they were able to do off a large part because of what they were able to do offensively. And they put a beat down on Dallas in Dallas in a playoff hunt. And I played for the Cowboys. I know what those Thanksgiving Day games are like, how important they are to that franchise. For Buffalo to go down there and beat them like they did and then beat Chicago in Chicago the next week. I mean, that was, or I guess Dallas went to Chicago next week. But the way that Buffalo went to Dallas and beat them on Thanksgiving on a short week, travel, the whole thing. I just thought that was a seminal moment for the Buffalo Bills as an organization. And certainly, if Josh is your quarterback and he's your leader of your offense and maybe the franchise, face of the franchise, to win that type of game, those are the kind of games that you win. They're different than beating, against anybody else. Those wins you put in your back pocket and you pull them out to remind yourself that you're a quality team, that you have quality wins, and that you deserve to be in the playoffs.
What can a Stephon Diggs do for a Bills offense, for Josh Allen, for a team that seems to be coming together as not only a division contender, but maybe something a little bit more? What can he do and add to this offense?
Well, look, they added, John Brown and Cole Beasley last year, and they were great. Cole Beasley was exactly what you wanted him to be. You wanted him to be a slot receiver that could win on third downs, that's good after the catch, and that's what he was. John Brown is just, has got elite speed, and he stayed healthy. Right. And he can stretch defenses, but he's not a number one wide receiver. Now, Stephon Gilmore will go on him, and for the large part, he'll knock, he'll win that matchup. Although John Brown made the biggest play of the game in that late December game against the Patriots.
Yeah.
But now you have a true number one wide receiver that's going to see number one corners, that's going to see double teams, that's going to see safety rotations. He's going to get a lot of attention coming his way. And when that happens, John Brown, Cole Beasley, and, a group of young tight ends and Devin, they should flourish. Trying to cover all those other people and, trying to account for Josh Allen's, mobility, it's going to be tough. You're just not – and if you don't do that to a guy like, Stephon Diggs, his route running and his ability to separate and win man coverage, he's going to make you pay. And so the offense just becomes more dynamic all the way around.
Interesting. Obviously, the whole NFL season's in flux. I know we obviously hope everything starts on time, that we have a full season and all of that. If schedules get pushed back or condensed, how crucial is it that the Bills are going to have their same 5 starting offensive linemen? They're going to come back with the same coordinators, the same coach, the same defensive coordinators. How crucial is that? You're a guy that's gone through training camps to know that if things get shortened, maybe there's not a long training camp, this team can benefit from bringing back pretty much, 20 out of the starting 22 guys? How big's that?
It can be big. You don't really know. You always kind of fear bringing the same team back and just have the same, higher expectations.
Gotcha.
Every year is different. I've heard this argument, and look, it's a fair argument because you should, in theory, when you have that much comfort, in continuity, you should be better. Like in the NFC East right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are the only team that haven't made a head coaching change.
Right.
If the season is shortened, if it is condensed, if something does happen, God forbid that it does.
Right.
They should be further along than the Cowboys with Mike McCarthy, or, the Giants with Joe Judge, or, Ron Rivera, in Washington. They should be better. But you still have to go out and play the games. And you still have to go win. And so you hate to say just because you have more continuity in these other teams,
right,
that's going to be the reason why you win. You're going to win any game, whether it's shortened or not. You're going to win because you out execute the other team and you're better prepared than the other team. And so that's what's going to ultimately win and lose games.
Flipping sides just quickly, what have you seen in the Bills defense, specifically Ed Oliver. I saw you did a breakdown when he went up against Quentin Nelson in that preseason game, and you love Quentin Nelson. And what did you see, maybe just from that snippet of seeing just that small sample size that you got a sense of what Ed Oliver could be?
Well, you know, he played out of position the whole time at Houston. He was a nose tackle at Houston. Nobody thought he was going to be a nose tackle in the NFL. He's a defensive lineman. I mean, I honestly believe he could be a stand-up outside linebacker the way that he runs and the power that he has and his ability to, you know, I mean, I think you can move Ed Oliver around, but inside against elite players, he's got elite quickness. I mean, and he wins with his quickness. And he's got a body type that allows him to bend and get out of trouble and get out of and slide through double teams. He's just skilled. Like, he does not stay blocked. And you saw him really come on as the season progressed. He got better. He understood blocking schemes. It usually takes a year for defensive linemen to figure it out. I mean, you can look at Aaron Donald or Khalil Mack. You look at any of these guys. Look at them the rookie year. They weren't dominant players the rookie year. But they gradually grew into it. Brandon Graham's a Pro Bowl player for the Philadelphia Eagles. He didn't have a sack his first 2 years in the NFL. So it takes him a little while to figure it out. But I think, like, he's a pretty fast learner. I mean, he wants to be great. He's got oodles of talent. And so I expect this year that Ed Oliver can become a dominant player inside right now.
It's nice. We've talked about Josh, his development, Ed, his development. You know, a lot of the pieces are coming back for the Bills D and what he's done with that culture. Do you think that this is a team that in the AFC East, or, you know, what are your expectations maybe for them moving forward this year?
Well, they were competitive in the, you know, obviously they were competitive in the AFC East last year. Just because Brady's gone doesn't ensure that, you know, you get that slot.
Right.
The Jets are going to be better. The Dolphins are going to be better. It's going to be, for the first time, I think, much more evenly matched. It's not going to be the Patriots and everybody else battling it out. We've seen the Dolphins go to the playoffs. You know, we've seen Buffalo go to the playoffs. I mean, we've seen a second team out of the AFC East go. But it's been a long time since the Jets went. You know, but it's going to be much closer this year. No team, I don't believe the Patriots or any team, is going to run away with the AFC East. It's going to be much more clustered. But this, we know. The run of AFC East champions going through Foxborough is very much up for grabs right now.
Yeah.
And it very easily could go through Buffalo, the AFC East. And look, the Jets feel like they're much improved. They've got a real general manager in Joe Douglas building it the right way. And I'm sure down in Miami, they feel like they're, you know, the assets that they have, the acquisitions they made, that they're going to be a lot more competitive this year than they have been in the last 5 years. So it's going to be a much better division. But if I'm the Buffalo Bills, you know, I want to put the flag in the ground saying the AFC East is coming to us.
One last question, I'll let you go. How have you seen Josh's development, you being a former O-lineman, because I feel like the O-line really came together last year in Buffalo. You know, you talked about early on he was just taking so many hits. How crucial was the offensive line's development in conjunction with Josh's development?
Well, I mean, Mitch Morris is a great center. I mean, you know, so Quentin Spain, you know, I've always been a Deion Dawkins fan going back to his freshman year at Temple. You know, Ford Cody was a good player at guard or tackle. I feel like they got a good wall, and they got blocking tight ends, guys that can handle the edges.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a really good wall. It's a young wall. I think they made a change to the offensive line, you know, coaching. And I think what they brought in from Cleveland is, I think coaches did a good job. And I think the next step right now for Buffalo is to add depth. You know, when Mitch Morris went out last year with a hand, I mean, I think there's a little bit of a drop off. You just got to have 8 guys that can play. You're going to be able to. They're going to expand the rosters now. Teams are going to dress 8 offensive linemen. I mean, you want 8 guys that can flat out play without you know, a great deal of loss. I mean, Cody was. I'm a big fan of Cody Ford. It was at Oklahoma. I liked his mentality. So I mean, I think he's got to compete for that right tackle job right now. But you know, I think right now they've got a good starting 5, and I think it's about building depth and getting 8 guys that can really play along that line without a drop-off at any position.
Brian, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Stay safe. We'll be following all your breakdowns all along the season. Hopefully there's a season, a full season, and all that. So thanks again, Brian. I really, really appreciate it.
Not my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and I feel the same way.
Take care.
Let's get to the draft first, and let's get this nasty virus. Let's get this thing shut down soon.